Then I woke up, my arm started hurting, and I found out that we had went to a party there, and I ended up shooting up coke for the first time. Well, the addiction took hold of her pretty quickly, and then me later. And so I ended up getting both of us addicted to it. Because we got a choice: either your kids can go and live with your parents, and you can leave the house, or you can stay at the house and your kids go into foster care. My childhood was good. I got two loving parents. I got two older sisters, Shannon and Danielle. And we basically had everything that we needed. We weren't rich, but we weren't poor. We are a really close, tight family. I tell my mom everything, still do. Going into school, my elementary school year was pretty normal. Got bullied here and there. Wasn't until I got into high school I kind of got bullied more. A little freshman year, I think it was, when I started smoking cigarettes. And then I went from cigarettes to then I started skateboarding. And when I got into skateboarding, we started to fall into more of just like smoking weed. Started getting in trouble in school a little more here and there. I got suspended a couple times for smoking. Took me quite a while to actually get high for the first time. I think I smoked like 5 or 6 times, didn't feel nothing off of it. But then finally I got some good weed, and I went up here to the woods and smoked for the first time and got high. Then I remember coming home, and I had a couple hours before my dad was going to be coming home. And I remember going downstairs, getting a shower, changing my clothes and stuff so my parents wouldn't smell weed on me. And I was freaking out about it, and ended up going to sleep so that way I wouldn't get caught with it. So I didn't really do anything else until later in my life. So I was pretty consistent with smoking weed, and I mean, it was every day, all the time. I think what really changed my whole use of drugs was when my uncle passed away. So when my Uncle Tim passed away, that was really hard for me. He was a lot to me. He did a lot with me. And I think it was a lot of like misery and pain, because I just held it all in. And that's when I started doing other drugs. I was like 19, and I did cocaine for the first time. Just snorted it, and I remember my face getting all numb and like thinking like, man, this is like really cool. It helped me get through my sadness and everything. And then my body had a high tolerance for drugs. I did shrooms, acid, ecstasy, all in my early 20s, along with the cocaine. I remember it was my birthday. The one time I had taken like, I don't know, it was like 6 or 7 blue Xanax and drank a bunch of alcohol, some Vicodin, did like a 8-ball Coke, and went up to a strip club and came home. And then the next day, I didn't remember anything of it, and it was kind of concerning because I didn't realize, like, at that time I just started taking Xanax. So I didn't realize that when you mix Xanax with alcohol, you black out. Then I woke up, my arm started hurting, and I found out that we had went to a party there, and I ended up shooting up coke for the first time. Me and my 2 kids through marriage and my ex-wife, we moved to Flagstaff, Arizona in 2020. We had not really been getting along for the past quite a few years. And well, when we started on the coke, we started like confessing things to each other and getting a lot of things off our chest that we were holding back with each other. And next thing I knew, it was just kind of like me falling in love with her all over again. It was because we had no more secrets, things like that. And, then we get the news that her mom had terminal cancer, and my mom was going to be getting hip surgery done. So we decided to move back home in October 2022. And when I came home, I wanted to keep that relationship going as far as being able to talk to each other and stuff like that. And so I was looking for powder everywhere, couldn't find it. And so I could find crack. So decided, well, I'm going to go get some of it, try it. And at least if I screw my life up, she'll be sober. I did it for a good month behind her back. Behind everybody's back, really. It got to the point that I could smoke it and it would be, I was in control. And I figured, okay, well, maybe she can do it. So then I introduced her to it. And before I knew it, things just spun out of control. There was, on both ends, between me and her, we were both lying to each other, lying to our family, kids, and everything. And well, the addiction took a hold of her pretty quickly, and then me later. And so I ended up getting both of us addicted to it. I stayed sober after I got out of jail for, it was like 140 days. And I went and filed for divorce then. I got custody of the kids. We were going to church regularly, but then I went, hung out with one of my friends from previous time, and that's when I relapsed. But only this time, it was, instead of gradually going into it, I was full board back into it like that and worse. I started hanging out with my ex-wife again later on, down after I relapsed. I had 3 court dates for my divorce, and this was my second court date, and I went in there, and I was just got done, me and my ex-wife had just got done smoking together, because we completely forgot we had a court date. And so we show up there, and I was just real high, talking with my hands and legs bouncing, and my eyes probably looked the size of golf balls, I don't know. But the judge sat there and told me, she goes, "I can tell you're high right now." And I said, "No, I'm not." She goes, "Yeah, I can tell you are." She goes, "If I send you down to probate and you take a drug test, are you going to pass?" And I said, "Oh yeah, I'll pass." And I went in there and took the test, and I failed with flying colors. And about an hour later, I come back up there to the courtroom then, and she goes, "Well, what did I tell you would happen if you end up being dirty?" And I said that I was going to lose the kids. She goes, "Well, you got a choice. Either your kids can go and live with your parents, and you can leave the house, or you can stay at the house and your kids go into foster care." And I said, "Well, that's not going to happen. I'm not going to let my kids go into foster care." So I left the house, and I moved in with my drug dealer, which was a very terrible decision. And my addiction just kept getting worse and kept getting worse. My mom, when I would talk to her on the phone, she'd just say, "Hey, you need to get clean, you need to get clean." My dad would tell me the same thing. And then I remember my mom telling me, like, what's always stuck out in my head with her telling me that, how can you go without talking to your children? And it wasn't so much the fact that, like, it definitely wasn't that I didn't want to talk to him. I just felt very embarrassed and felt like a piece of crap, really. Like, who wants to talk to somebody like me? Because I knew that's how way I felt. And I hid a lot from my kids. So the one night I was at a drug house, and I don't know, there was about 6, 7 of us. I've been up for 2 weeks straight. That's the longest I've ever been up. And I remember putting a piece in my pipe, leaned back to take the hit, and whenever I took the hit, it was such a big hit that it just made my head just like pump, and I fell backward and passed out. And when I was passed out, I remember looking over to the side, and I see my Uncle Tim, who passed away, and my grandma, who passed away, and they're standing there in the doorway. And they said, "Are you going to do this crap for the rest of your life?" And I said, "I don't want to." And they said, "You need to get help." So I went into my buddy's room there, laid down in his bed. I slept for 3 days. Didn't get up once. Got up, went into the room. They were all in there smoking. I sat down. So I picked up my phone. I went downstairs, walked outside. And so I called my mom and I said, "Hey, can I come home for dinner?" And she's like, "Yeah." I see my dad coming down the road, getting the truck there. And, you know, "Hey, how you doing?" "Oh, I'm good." And we get home here, and I come walking in through the door there, and I just started crying, and I told my mom, I said, "I need some help." Like, I would pray to God, but it was always like, "Dear God, like, give me some money. Dear God, let me hit the lottery. Dear God," you know, like, it would never anything serious, you know. And so for the next 2 weeks, I'd go up, have the same prayer where I would ask God to just take my pain away and all my thoughts away with my ex-wife. And so I just didn't want that anymore. And that was a lot of my misery, or whatever. So, and next thing I knew, it was like 3 or 4 days went by, and I hadn't even thought about her. I started seeing more of people the way that God sees them. You know, that none of us are better than each other. You know, we need to love each other, not hate each other, and pick out the small things of each other. Like, we need to be there for one another and whatnot. And then that's when I learned to put more trust in God. That's where my problem is that I wanted to control everything. I wanted to control the outcomes of my life, when really God was the one that was in control, not me. And I was always trying to fight him. I would just not let him do his work. And letting him actually do his work has totally proven that without him, that we aren't nothing. So, like, it's just, you know, since I got out, it's been nothing but blessing after blessing after blessing. And it's amazing that when you actually take the time to talk to God on one-on-one, on your terms and on his terms, that's how life-changing it actually is. Like, a lot of people don't believe in him. I know I struggled with it for a while. But when you actually take the time to sit there and think about all the things that he's created and given us, and that a lot of us take for granted, just think that it was just put there. Well, it wasn't. It was all created by God. And without him, none of this would exist. You know, God gave me the car. He gave me my family. He gave me my mom, my dad, and he gave me my addiction. And through that addiction, that was his way of showing me that I needed to come to him. Yeah, this is Amy. She's a 4-year-old reservation dog, and she loves attention, huh? Shake. Speak. Speak. Amy. Speak. 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 There you go.